Thoughts on new Guinness record largest game collection by Last Gamer?
I've heard the name Last Gamer time and time again. He has a YouTube channel. I think he's out of Melbourne, Australia. He's a pretty big game collector. He has like either a whole house or wing built for his game collection. Like we're talking like it looks like either like a VHS rental store or a library with all shelves and like aisles and stuff. So I'm guessing he broke that Guinness Book of World Record for the largest video game collection. So I've done nothing but positivity for that. If you want to do that, that's, his name is Joel Hopkins. Good on you. 18,000 titles stored in his purpose-built home. Okay, so then to me it sounds like that was built just for those games.
Yeah, that's crazy.
In the green suburban hills of Melbourne, Australia. This is a Games Radar article. So 18,000 games. He's been collecting for more than 20 years. He used to own a game shop. He used to import games from Japan. I'm guessing that's how he found probably the vast majority of his games being in Australia. It's not like there's a huge, thriving retro gaming scene in Australia. So you have to import games. I'm not sure if 18,000 separate games probably came out in Australia over the years and years. So it's absolutely impressive. Don't get me wrong. But what it comes down to when all's said and done is that what does that mean right now to have the world's largest game collection, and what is it going to mean in the future?
Right.
Because as more and more consoles come out, when you look at a system like the PS2 that has by itself 2,500 games on just a single system. When you look at a system like the Wii, which has well over 1,000. DS and Game Boy Advance have They have 1,000 or 2,000 each. I mean, you're getting to large numbers of systems that every 5 years you're gonna have 2,000 games. Let's just say on them. I'm not even counting if Guinness takes into account download titles. I have no idea if they do.
I can't imagine they do. I would assume that this is for physical game collections.
Okay. If it's for physical, even okay. It's gonna get easier and easier over the next 5 to 10 years, definitely 15, to amass a game collection of 20,000 games or more. It's going to become incrementally easier due to all the shovelware and dollar games. Once you get to the disc era, Xbox, PS2, PS3, Xbox 360, PS4, those games all plummet in value, partially because of the downloadable versions.
Right.
These games come out like the new Metal Gear Solid games that come out, they're $60, and within a year they're like $5.
Sure.
So when that becomes, and that will become a bulk of these libraries in the future, for the vast majority, it's not going to become as impressive. Maybe now, if his collection is 90s and before, yes. But
well, it sounds like a lot of it is. I mean, reading here, it sounds like a lot of it is new and modern, or new and retro.
Sure, it has to be to get to that point.
And I kind of like his idea on it. I mean, he seems like, I don't know, he seems like the type of collector I like. I mean, this sentence in particular, hold on. Shit, I lost it. So this sentence in particular just kind of, this paragraph I like. Hopkins' stories are drenched with nostalgia with no allegiance to one franchise or console. He says it wasn't any particular technology that captured his attention. He's not a fanboy, so basically he just likes getting wrapped up in another world. It's partly why he doesn't care about his collection being in mint condition and why many copies of the games are his own from more than 30 years ago. He points at The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past card. It's my original copy. It's important to me, he says. Since a few scratches don't bother him, he's happy for his young son to play with any game that catches his attention. So he's preserving. This is important to him. It's not necessarily about status, but like he just loves this stuff. So I like the idea that if I were to walk into his collection, not everything would be mint.
Okay.
There'd be a story or something behind it.
Well, there is some status if you're getting a Guinness World Record plaque.
Well,
That's
sure,
status.
but I also like the fact that it's also not, he's not, out there running around looking for label upgrades and stuff.
Well, you
like
can't
that.
if you have 18,000. I'm playing devil's advocate here. You can't if you have 18,000 games. Can you really? Have the time or
maybe not
to update all your let's just say your sports PS2 titles? I
You have to remember, I literally work in a place where people will ask me to pull out 15 copies of Bases Loaded so they can get the best label, okay? I admire a guy who doesn't need to have everything in mint condition. That's all I'm saying.
What's interesting, though, is that he's created his own library museum. It'd be cool if it's... obviously, it's up to him if he can set up for the public to come in and play games. I think that's the future. In terms of the natural progression we're seeing, we're actually seeing it now the past few years with the Video Game History Museum, the Museum of Play, other ventures being started up for game preservation, where you have these big time collections all of a sudden be transformed into museums. This is history now.
Right.
This isn't just a weird hobby anymore. We're getting to that point, and I'm starting to think about it now. As I rocket towards my 40s, what the hell am I going to do? Is it worth it having games that I'll be forced to keep in a fucking bank vault? Like, what good is that going to do me versus having it displayed somewhere in a museum with an educational little plaque? Or, you know what I mean? Like, at least someone gets some enjoyment out of it, because I'm not. You know, you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying, and I'm not passing judgment whether he decides to do that or not. But I'm saying in general, I think that's where we are headed, more and more so. Where, okay, now we've rescued all these rare games, all these documents, all these unreleased ROMs, these competition carts. We rescue them from being thrown out. We are showing that they have value in terms of the historical value of this, not just hobby, of this culture, video game culture, and one of the newest mediums of communication and of entertainment, video games. Now what? What's the next evolutionary step? And it is museum and teaching others about it, I guess. So this is going to be broken more and more, though, as we're going to be seeing, like I said, all these next generation of games, until we get to that point that, hey, maybe there'll be a cap like the Super Mario World Record Run, where there's no more physical games, so there'll be like a static point unless you search for every DOS game in existence, you know, and that's where you're going to be at 25,000, 30,000, you know, unique physical video games.